What is going on out there, guys? It's your boy Tommy on the spot, and welcome to another edition of Disney 101. We have had a ton of technical issues over the last couple of weeks. We've been trying to come at you live every single week, but it has been tough. But we are back here today, and on the other side of the, I guess the other side of the glass, so to speak, is my main man, Steve, down in Orlando, Florida. Steve, how are you doing today?
I am actually very magical right now. We are getting towards the finish line of school. Next week is the last week of classes. My grade book officially closed on Friday, so it's smooth sailing from here on out for me.
So is it just like, what's this final week entail then?
Absolutely nothing. And we've kind of been trying to, everybody, including the vice principal, has been slowly trying to hint to kids that not really a whole lot is going to be going on next week, so you don't really need to come, so we can kind of cut down on crowd control and that kind of thing, because the grade book closed, so we're going to try and instruct as much as we can, but kids know it, we know it, we're all kind of checked out, we're already in summer mode, so it's kind of basically we're just going to be maybe like watching movies or something.
Yeah, that's super cool. That's that sounds like a lot of fun, and I mean certainly awesome that I know here in New York, I think our schools continue now to the end of June. How long are you guys off for in Florida now?
We're going to be off until so teachers are going to be going back this August 6th or something like that.
Oh, okay.
And then first day of school is like the 12th or 14th or something like that.
Very, very cool. Yeah, no, that means that I know we don't go back until the day after, like the week of Labor Day.
Yeah. Yeah, no, we get out early, so we go back early. But it's a trade-off. Yeah,
no. Well, today things they're turning around. We had the issues that we've been having here on Google Hangouts, where basically we'd start a show. I'd hear Steve. I wouldn't be able to hear Steve, so Steve would hear me perfectly fine. I just couldn't hear him. But we finally seem to have figured it out, kind of just by trial and error and hoping things together with kind of plastic cups and everything. But we're back. And that not only that, but I did return from a trip to St. Martin last week where I had a gnarly second-degree burn on my left foot. Could not put any pressure on it. Could not walk for like an entire week. It was not fun, but thankfully now it's starting to feel better. And I have a wedding tomorrow, so I gotta be able to cut up the dance floor a little bit. And I'm glad to be able to do that. But it's crazy. Summer is coming up. Seems like it came out of nowhere.
Yeah, I mean, and for us too, I would say no. I definitely wasn't counting down the days till the end of school and all that stuff, but I definitely was, considering, we actually have a trip coming up to New York after school gets let out next week, and then later on we're going to have our vacation over the summer as well. So definitely been looking forward to this summer for a couple of different reasons.
Yeah, and Steve is coming up here to New York, and hopefully we'll be able to film something next week, whether it be kind of like a channel trailer or something to that extent, working on a couple different things. Before we do officially dive in, though, wanted to wish everyone a very happy Memorial Day weekend. Whether you're going out and you're partying, or you have barbecues, or you got weddings like me, or you're watching your favorite, summer traditional movies, whatever have you, I hope everyone has a very happy, healthy, and safe time. And, political thoughts, of course, aside, let's give a minute to obviously remember what the day is really about, which is the men and women who go and sacrifice their lives for us and for our freedoms overseas, and continue to fight for those freedoms that allow us to do what we do. So happy Memorial Day to everybody as we kind of get started there. Is there anything you want to add to that, Steve?
I think you pretty much said it.
There you go.
Sorry.
So, no, that's okay.
Go a little bit quicker as you drink your coffee. I'm sorry.
No, it's totally all right. That was why I threw it over, just so I can get a little go in there. But today's going to be a fun little show that we have for you guys here. Rather than go through kind of our long form type show, which hopefully we'll be able to do and maybe connect to maybe do another one. But when you see that, it'll look like maybe it's then the following week or something to that extent. But today we are going to talk about, Steve had mentioned that he's got a couple different vacations coming up. And one of them is actually going to be a Disney cruise. So I thought it might be fun to talk about that cruise, talk about where Steve's going, talk about the different things that go into planning a Disney cruise, and also give you guys a little bit of a backstory as to what you could expect on a Disney cruise. Now, I've never been on one, So this really will be not only an informative piece, hopefully for all of you, but also for myself, in looking to do a Disney cruise. So,
Yeah.
you know, I guess Steve, do you want to go ahead?
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, as you may or may not know, or may not have remembered, part of one of the things that I used to do for Disney is I was a vacation planner, and one of the things that we used to do was book cruises, and it was one of my favorite things to do because I love cruises and I just love talking about cruises and all that. So it was perfect for me. And people, you know, you were kind of usually in one camp or another. Either you were a pro and you had been on tons of cruises and, you know, all those things, and you knew exactly what you wanted to do, or you were a newbie and it was either your first time booking a cruise or first time going on a cruise, whatever the case was, and you knew absolutely nothing. So those were kind of my favorite people to talk to, because I was able to kind of get to know them a little bit more, ask them kind of those questions to figure out what kind of cruise you want to go on, because they're not all the same. All cruises, especially Disney cruises, are not created equal. You know, there are ones that will go to warm places, go to cold places, go to anything in between. So I thought maybe that we could talk a little bit first about the cruise that I'm going to be going on over the summer, and then kind of go into a little bit, generally speaking, about cruises in general. So the one that I am going on, off the top of my head, because for some reason,
how many cruises have you been on? Disney cruises have you been on thus far?
I have been on 5, so this is going to be my 6th cruise.
Wow, that's very. It's funny because when I was just talking, so before we got on the air, I was talking about I'm going to be in a wedding tomorrow. And it is, coincidentally enough, going to be my 6th wedding party, I guess not including my own, that I am going to be a part of.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
So it is going to be a cruise to the Bahamas. It is a 5-night cruise sailing out of Port Canaveral on the Disney Dream. So right now, Disney Cruise Line has 4 different ships. There are 3 more coming down the pike soon. But right now we have 3. They have 4 different ships: the Dream, the Fantasy, the Magic, and the Wonder. Okay. So we're going to be going on the Disney Dream, and that's typical for, you know, a lot of times the Dream and the Fantasy, they like to go to the Bahamas and the Caribbean. Right now, that's kind of their main, you know, back and forth. Their itineraries kind of mix it up a little bit, but that's kind of where they are right now. Whereas the Wonder and the Magic are kind of the world travelers. As it stands right now, and probably into 2020, the Disney Wonder is over on the West Coast a lot of the year, and sometimes they'll go down to Mexico, but the big draw there is the Alaska cruises, which actually we went on last year.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and then the Magic a lot of times is over in Europe, and there's a bunch of different European cruises. Actually, one that we plan on going on next year, possibly. But the one that we're going on, actually coming up to celebrate my birthday, so we're going to be there the 7th to the 12th of July.
Oh, wow.
We're going on the Disney Dream, and it's a 5-night Bahamian cruise, making 2 different stops at Disney Castaway Cay, which is Disney's private islands there, and then also a stop in Nassau.
Oh, very cool. And now Port Canaveral is, I was trying to pull it up here, and I couldn't, but Port Canaveral is out of, like, Disney Springs, or outside of where is it? It's in Florida.
It is not. Right. It's not in Disney Springs, though.
Where is it? Where would it be located?
Port Canaveral.
Yeah.
Port Canaveral is on the East Coast. It's about an hour-ish, depending on traffic, away from Orlando.
See, my confusion is I always hear there's one where literally you can go right, like the cruise goes like right where the fireworks are going off. Maybe I'm wrong.
I think you're talking about like one of the Seven Seas Lagoon cruises that they call a cruise, but it's you going out onto like a pontoon boat in the middle of the lagoon.
Oh, maybe that's what it is then. Yeah, that
not a huge cruise ship. No.
Gotcha. I was always wondering because I was like, I've been to the parks, I've never seen them. So
no. If you're thinking about like you know, when they say like a fairy tale cruise and like that kind of thing, those are the cruises that come out, like they set sail from like the Contemporary, the Grand Floridian, and they will go, you know, into the Seven Seas Lagoon, which is, if you've ever taken the ferry boat from the Ticket and Transportation Center over to the Magic Kingdom, it's that area that they'll kind of go out into the middle of the water, and you can watch the fireworks from there.
Gotcha.
No, I'm going on a real cruise.
Gotcha. That makes sense. So I thought that the cruise ships were positioned somewhere out there, and then they take off and go to whatever island you're going to.
No, no,
Okay,
that's not how water works.
gotcha. Yeah, I was going to say it didn't
We're in
seem.
Central Florida. We're in the middle, where we are fairly landlocked here in the middle
Yeah,
of Central
that's how I
Florida.
was wondering. I was like, so really, it's you have to travel to get to Port Canaveral.
Yes, yeah, but I mean, for us traveling, it's about 45 minutes to an hour, depending on traffic, and it's all highway anyway.
Oh,
So
and
it's
then you
not,
leave your car there.
but that being said, though, because it is quite close to Disney World, a lot of people, if you're going, even some people will go on a short cruise, a 3 or a 4 day cruise, or even sometimes a longer cruise. And if they are coming out of Port Canaveral, they'll kind of maybe book a day or two either before or after the cruise to kind of add a little bit more Disneyness to their cruise. It also kind of helps with overnight accommodations, especially if you are flying in from somewhere. We usually recommend when we're booking cruises, if you do have to fly somewhere, come in the night before, or maybe even a day or two before,
Right.
just in case, because you don't want to have that super early flight. And God forbid something happens where it gets delayed or canceled, and now you're scrambling because you're trying to make it to your destination before the cruise sets sail. And usually they open it around 10 or 11 a.m. depending on the cruise, and then cutoff is around 1 or 2 sometimes. So if you're not one of those early birds and you kind of try and cut it by the skin of your teeth and something goes wrong, you might kind of be in bad luck there. So that's usually why typically we will recommend, if you do have to fly into your destination, wherever you're taking this cruise from, you fly in a day or two early. Number one, so that you can have that peace of mind, so you're actually there where you need to go. Number two, because most of the places that you're sailing from are destinations in and of themselves. So you want to kind of take in the local atmosphere, because, as a stop where you're departing from isn't somewhere where you have, excursions and that kind of thing from the cruise line itself. So if you want to explore whatever port it is, whether it's Port Canaveral or Miami or Vancouver or Barcelona or London or wherever it is, you kind of want to make sure that you have that kind of cushion
To go from there. Yeah, that makes sense.
to kind of go
So I
from
mean, it would actually make sense to go to Orlando, do a day or two in the parks, and then head to the Port Canaveral to go head out to your.
Yeah, what a lot of people will do is, if you're going to do one or the other, you do beforehand. First thing is, again, because you want to have that cushion flying in a couple of days beforehand. Number two, because if you've ever been to Walt Disney World and you've ever been to Disney World for an extended period of time, a lot of people feel like you need a vacation from your vacation. And
Gotcha.
the cruise is the perfect opportunity to kind of decompress from Walt Disney World, because it is a completely different atmosphere.
Very cool. That's awesome. All right. So you said you're booking a Bahamian cruise now. Are there different excursions and things that are included while you're going on this particular cruise that you're excited for?
Yes. So if you want to use the technical term of an excursion, or a port adventure, as sometimes they'll call it, a lot of times those are not going to be included.
Okay.
Those are extra things above and beyond, the normal cruise activities. So first, instead of saying what isn't included, I'll tell you what is included. So things that are included at a Disney cruise: all of your meals,
Damn.
all of your non-alcoholic drinks, all of the child activities. Now, that is not including infants. If you need special, like actual daycare for any infants or toddlers, that is going to be a separate charge. But any regular child activities, I believe the cutoff is like 3 and up. That is something that you can just sign up for either in advance or when you get onto the ship. I always recommend doing things in advance just in case it sells out.
Right.
But you can do it in advance or you can do it on the ship, either way. But that is included. All of the entertainment on board the ship is included. So that is including the live Broadway style shows. That's including all of like the games, the family activities, movies. A lot of times they'll do actually first run movies. So if you are going on a cruise around the time one of those big blockbuster movie comes out, like for example, a Marvel movie or a Star Wars movie, or, Frozen 2 or Toy Story 4 or The Lion King or Aladdin, any of those things, they're up for grabs. So one of those days, you either, if you're on a longer cruise, they'll do a movie night, or it'll be throughout the day. At some
That's
point, they'll
awesome.
do a couple of different showings. So they do first run movies, and that is included in your fare for your price.
Damn, that's awesome. Yeah,
Um,
it's actually it's pretty cool to kind of circle back to what you said that they offer a daycare service while you're
Oh
on
yeah,
the
absolutely.
ship.
And that's one of the things where when you're talking about going on a Disney cruise, a lot of people first thing, if you are either a couple without children, or you kind of want to, you are parents but want to leave the kids at home for whatever reason, not going to judge. Uh, you can go, and a lot of people will go, oh, but I don't want to be surrounded by kids. And realistically, you are not going to find significantly more kids on a Disney cruise than on a regular cruise, because most of the kids are off in their own thing in a different part of the ship.
Oh
Um,
wow.
I'll even tell parents that are going to bring their kids on the ship. A lot of times, you could probably drop them off in the morning and pick them up at night and never see your kids, unless you want to.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Because they have it pretty much all day, and it's these a cruise ship. If you've never been on one, a lot of people have maybe some sort of idea what you're in store for, but Disney ships they're basically floating cities. So you don't have to see your kids. They're floating hotels. You don't have to see your kids unless you want to. I always tell them that in case they, maybe because, when you're on a Disney vacation to Disney World, you're with your family 24/7 pretty much. So that's one of the ways that it's different from that.
Yeah, that's incredible. And so what shows, I guess, because you said the Broadway shows, what shows are going to be taking place on your cruise? Do you know?
So they're different. They are unique from cruise to cruise. We haven't been on the Disney Dream in a while, so I'm trying to remember which shows are on here. Actually, I think I should be able to. One of the great things about the Disney Cruise website that I'm on right now, actually, is that it does have a lot of details about things to expect on your particular cruise. So when you actually have already booked, you can look at your cruise, what's going to happen on, things that are going on your cruise, different ways to plan a cruise, your destinations, the ships, things that are going to be going on. So let me see if I can actually find out what kinds of things are going on for our cruise. So I'm going to go to the live shows and entertainment. I'm going to pick the Disney Dream. And let's see what we got.
And is this your first time going to a Bahamian cruise?
This is going to be my second Bahamian cruise. This is actually the first time that I've repeated itineraries.
Oh, nice.
But this is going to be a little bit different for me, because this is going to be my first cruise where we have 2 stops at Disney Castaway Cay, which is very unique, and they are really popular because Castaway Cay is awesome. So let's see. I think it looks like now, again, these are kinds of things that are kind of subject to change, but from what it looks like, we're going to have Beauty and the Beast. So the live Broadway version of Beauty and the Beast. We're going to have the Golden Mickeys, which is a kind of fun Oscar, Academy Awards award show type show, but it has a lot of singing and dancing and skits and that kind of thing.
That's
and then
awesome.
Disney's Believe, which is a unique, show that a lot of times they'll have like a running story throughout all of it, but there's a lot of singing and dancing and a lot of familiar characters and familiar songs. So I believe that one's going to have like the Bare Necessities and Circle of Life, and there's a lot of each one kind of has its own story. I don't want to spoil too much, but they're all really cool.
That sounds awesome. Yeah, that's really cool. Yeah, so you get all of those included while you're on the actual ship.
Yeah. So any entertainment that you want to do, except for like bingo. Bingo is going to be something that you want to pay, if you want to participate in, you have to pay extra for. But most of anything else, if you see any activities while you're on board, you can just go and show up. And it'll actually say some things like trivia nights are going to be, some trivia is only 18 and up.
Oh, nice. Okay.
That's cool. Yeah. So there are adult only things, there are kid only things, and there are things that are good for the whole family. So, and that is the other thing, going back to, if you don't necessarily want a vacation surrounded by kids, you can hang out in the pubs and the bars and the clubs all day too.
Oh wow.
Most of them will open at some point in the afternoon, and you just hang out. And there's also an adults only quiet area. There's an adult only pool that's on one of the upper decks, one of the outside decks. And
Okay.
again, it's a quiet area, and it's adults only 18 and up.
That's very, very cool. That's awesome. Yeah, that sounds. I mean, and what's so there's is there a pool like while you're there?
A pool? Yeah. So there are not only so there's usually a big feature pool that's in the middle of the ship. There's going to be a kids like splash area, so those water features. Lots of usually it's named after Donald and his nephews.
Okay.
And then there's the adult only quiet pool where there's the hot tub. And then there's also on right now, because we have 4 ships, two of them have the Aqua Duck, which is it's a tube style water ride, like raft ride that you would go to at a water park. And the cool thing is a lot of it is clear. And at one point you kind of actually, the tube will take you a little bit off of the ship and then kind of circle back around. And that's
Oh
really
wow.
cool.
That's
And
really cool.
then, yeah, that's really cool. And then there's the Aqua Dunk, which is it's a body style, body slide, I guess you could kind of say.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
the cool thing is it's one of those where you're in the chamber and you kind of have to like hold on like this, and then they'll count down, maybe not, but then the floor drops out.
Oh, I love that.
And it's one of those where
I've
you
really
just go.
grown to. Yeah, I've grown to really like those. When I was a kid, it was like way too. I can't do that.
Yeah.
But
So
now it's awesome.
yeah, so that's really cool. But yeah, so there's that. There's also, if you're looking for extras, one of the extra things, there is a full Disney spa. There's a full senses, so there's full spa treatments, facials, massages, steam baths, saunas, massage chairs. There's a rainforest room where it has like different kinds of, different showers, and there's different effects and smells and that kind of stuff that go along with it. That's really cool. So
That sounds
all
awesome.
kinds
See,
of stuff.
I've never done a cruise, so for me, I'm like, all of this is on the actual ship
Yeah,
itself.
yeah, no, it is absolutely, yeah, everything. There is so much to do on especially a Disney cruise. And a lot of people also, think, oh, you're going to get hit over the head with, Disney stuff. And it's all Disney, Disney, Disney. And there is a lot of Disney stuff on it, but there is also so much stuff that is just extra that, you just go and you can do your own thing. And there's normal cruise stuff. There's normal, hotel extras that you can get on. For example, like room service. There's complimentary room service.
Damn, that's
So
awesome.
you can get, yeah, 24/7. The only thing that might be a little bit extra is gratuities for, the server that's coming up and giving
Right.
you the free room service.
Well,
But that's
hopefully.
it. Yeah, that's kind of expected. But, that's it. Complimentary 24/7 room service.
That's awesome. And does the entertainment like continue for 24 hours while you're there? Or like do all these things keep going?
Most of the thing isn't 24 hours.
Gotcha.
Because especially because on the outside where the big feature pool is, they'll also run like movies and stuff, and that's not going to be running during quiet times.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
But the bars and the lounges are open pretty late. Most of the entertainment starts pretty early in the morning, maybe around 7 or 8. So
Oh, wow.
for all things considered, it could be 24/7, but there's a few hours where you do have to sleep.
Right. Well, for me, we went to a place out in the Poconos here a couple months ago that my sister booked, and it was like we were done with our snow tubing type deal at like 9, 10 o'clock, and there was like nowhere to go to get a bite to eat. There was no options whatsoever. We were like, this is terrible. So that to me is something that's really it's important to have.
So yeah, well, if food is important, then best place to go is a Disney cruise. So I will say I'll edit my statement from a little bit. 99% of the food on the ship is included. The only things that really aren't are if you want to do extra adult only signature dining, and on the Magic and the Wonder there is one restaurant, Palo, but
Okay.
on the Dream and the Fantasy there are 2 restaurants, Palo and Remy. So
nice.
both are an additional charge, I believe, right now. Don't quote me, but I think Palo, actually, I can look up how much we got. Palo was an extra $40 per person. And
Okay.
I think Remy is either 70 or 80 now. But it is the I would say it's even above a standard signature, deluxe dining at a Walt Disney World resort,
Oh wow, that's
because you get, it's full course, so it's like at least three courses. Um, so you get appetizer, entree, dessert. You get also some, especially Palo, because it's an Italian themed restaurant. So you get antipasta, and you could get soup if you want. You could get all those kinds of things. So, but it's a flat prefix menu, and it's
that's
a prefix price. So it's $40 for basically whatever you order. Above and beyond, if you want to order wine or alcohol or something like that, that's going to be a little bit extra too. But it's a flat $40 regardless of what you're going to order there. And I absolutely recommend it. We go to Palo at least once a cruise. Sometimes they'll offer brunch as well, so you can do brunch and you can do a night, a dinner.
that's really cool.
So, but that is not included. But again, that's additional. That's if you want to go above and beyond the normal food.
Right.
The only other thing that could be extra would be concessions outside the movie theater. So if you want to have extra popcorn or soda or something like that at the concession stand, it's extra. But if you just go topside and you just want a plate of French fries or something before the movie, or get some soda or something from the above part, that's included.
That's crazy.
So all of your regular food, you don't have, if you go out of your way, you might have to pay a little bit extra. But if you're just going for breakfast, lunch, dinner, snacks, whatever, regular stuff, they have a buffet for breakfast and lunch.
Damn.
And then for lunch and dinner, lunch is going to be, there's a couple of like quick service grab and go places where you can go to the buffet and get some pretty good food, or you can go to, there's like sandwich places, pizza, if you got those picky eaters, chicken fingers and French fries, all sorts of stuff.
My favorites, of course.
Yeah, your favorites, of course. Now dinner, I do have to mention, is very unique, and that is because it's what's called rotational dining.
Okay.
So for rotational dining, there are 3 different restaurants that are on board each ship, and it does, the restaurant names and the cuisine and stuff do vary from ship to ship. But there are 3 restaurants that are going to be on board, and you rotate, and you go to each one a different night, so that by the end of the cruise, you're going to go to each restaurant at least once, depending how long your cruise is, maybe even twice or a third time. But they each have their unique theming, unique menus, that kind of stuff. But the fun thing is that you're going to have the same servers each night.
Oh wow, that is cool.
So your servers follow you to each restaurant, so that by the second or third night, your servers already know you. If you ordered, a Coke the first night, you got a Coke waiting for you at your table. If you ordered a gin and tonic the first night, you're going to have a gin and tonic waiting at your table the next night.
That's awesome.
It's really cool. And it's just, you get to know them. And that's one of the great things about a Disney cruise, is the cast members that you get to know. And, everybody always loves Walt Disney World, particularly for the exceptional guest service. And a Disney cruise is a step above. It is I've had, both at Disney Cruise and at Vero Beach, some of the best cast members I've ever met.
That sounds really cool. Yeah. I mean, especially because of the fact that I think the rotational dining is cool because you're getting to try a couple different things.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And, of course, if you do have a picky eater, there's the kids menu option as well. And if you look and say, I looked at the menu for this restaurant, I looked at the menu for the other restaurant, I really actually want what's at the other restaurant tonight. Or, you say, gosh, we were at this other restaurant last night and I absolutely fell in love with whatever it was. You can talk to your server and maybe they'll be able to make a little bit magic for you and maybe get that dish sent over.
That's pretty cool. That's awesome.
Yeah. So they will go above and beyond to anything that's within reason. They will absolutely go out of their way to try and make sure that they can make that happen.
Now, one of the things that I always, obviously, and you guys know, is one of my favorite things to do at Walt Disney World each time I go is to get the Mickey pretzel. Are there Mickey pretzels aboard the Sea Ship with you?
I think there might be at the concession stands.
Gotcha.
Maybe. But there are Mickey bars.
Really?
That you can get. Yes, absolutely. So if you want a Mickey bar for dessert, absolutely, you can go and find it. There's also things like Krispy Kreme donuts for breakfast and lunch. There's a Sunday station that you can go to. That they just have soft serve. Sometimes it's ice cream, sometimes it's frozen yogurt. But you just go grab your cone, grab a bowl. It's right there. You pull it down and you walk away
My gosh,
anytime you want.
that'd be bad news for me. We
Yeah.
have one Krispy Kreme here in all of New York. It's in Penn Station. So usually, if I have to head to the city for anything, and trying to actually set up a little trip to Penn
Yeah.
Station specifically so I can get a ride to the wedding tomorrow, so my wife and I don't need to take two cars, I always hit up the Krispy Kreme because it's the only place you go. So I treat myself. I don't go to the city very often. So
Yeah.
to have one there for breakfast and lunch is that would be bad news for me.
Yeah, and then also the last thing that would be included, food related, not at Nassau, at least for our cruise. You're anything that if you get off of the ship and go to Nassau, anything that you do is on you.
Okay.
But
Yeah, it makes
at
sense.
Disney Castaway Key, there is lunch served there, and it's barbecue stuff. So they do an awesome cookout. So it's like ribs and chicken and barbecue and like hamburgers and hot dogs and all that stuff. That's all included as well.
That is awesome. And so Castaway Key is specifically Disney Island, right?
Yes, it is 100% Disney owned, Disney private island that
That's
you would
awesome.
be, and it's only got room for one ship at a time. So it's, you go and you take over the ship, and it's just, you take over the island, and it's all you. And and even at Disney Castaway Key, there is also an adult only beach there as well.
Wow, very
So you have
cool.
a family area that has a bunch of water features. You can go actually into the beach there. There is a bunch of slides and stuff, and actually the water slide will dump you into the ocean. So that's really cool.
That's really
Kind
cool.
of cool stuff to do on Disney Castaway Key as well.
Yeah, no, that sounds. And how long typically do how long does the ship typically stay at, I guess, each place?
So depends on the actual depends on the port. So for example, at Castaway Key, we're there from 8:30 in the morning, and the all aboard time for the first day is 4:45.
Okay.
So you got about solid 8 hours there.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And then again, similar at Nassau, shore time is 9:30, based subject to change. So but about 9:30, and then all aboard time is going to be at 5:15. So you got a solid 8 hours there.
Yeah.
Now that could differ depending on the port. Sometimes I know when we went to Alaska, the all aboard time was really early, and the all ashore time was really early, and the all aboard time was really late, because when you're up there closer to the North Pole, you got more daylight, so you have more opportunity to spend at the port. But also in Mediterranean, I know you're there for an extended period of time. So it depends on the port. Most of the Caribbean times you're there for about 8 hours. Alaska and the Mediterranean, I think maybe closer to like 9 or 10 sometimes.
That's awesome. Yeah, one of the things that I always find it interesting, and I always ask, what happens if somebody misses the port?
So and we'll try and wait as long as they can, but if they've been waiting for I don't know what the exact amount of time is, but they will leave without you. So it's very important that you do the onboard time, and then you got to want to do one of two things. You either have to find your own way to the next port or find your own way home.
I'm sure. I mean, it makes sense. I mean, you can't get home from Castaway Key, right?
No, that is no, and that's
at
Castaway Key. It's a little bit easier to try and find you,
right?
But if you go off to Nassau, but that's why usually when we go, we're very cognizant of what time it is. We always usually don't have our phones on us, but we definitely I'll carry my watch with me or something. So I'm usually very conscious of what time it is. But also, if we're going off to explore whatever port it is by ourselves, we'll usually go really early, and we'll usually come back with plenty of time to spare. You don't really want to play around with that all aboard time, because something could happen where maybe you get stuck in traffic. Maybe there's some other sort of holdup that happens where you don't reach back in time. But that's also why a lot of times when we do go to a port, we'll book one of those excursions, and we'll do it through Disney Cruise Line, because if you do book an excursion through Disney Cruise Line, and you go off on one of those port adventures and something happens where you get held up, they will wait for you.
Oh, that is cool.
If you book the port adventure through Disney Cruise Line and something happens where for some reason you're late coming back to the ship. Can't say the same for if you book, an excursion or some other sort of adventure on your own.
Right.
And for some reason you get held up somewhere. That's kind of on you.
So they have port adventures for you to book through Disney Cruise Line.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And the good thing about it is you get the peace of mind. You get the guaranteed transportation to and from. It's a vendor that's been vetted by Disney Cruise Line, so it's a reliable place. And it's just you kind of get that peace of mind that goes along with it. Of course, you're also more than welcome to try and book your own stuff.
Are you looking at any port adventures for your trip coming up?
So we have been to Nassau before. The big draw at Nassau is Atlantis, which is the resort there.
Right.
That's really cool. It's got a big casino and stuff like that, but we've kind of done that. And for us, one of the things is if you're not going off to the island, the Disney Spa runs some discounts on port days. So our plan is actually to take advantage of that and make our day that we're in Nassau spa.
Oh, that's very cool.
So we're going to be hanging out, maybe doing the rainforest room, doing saunas and steam rooms, and hanging out on those like fun massage chairs and just kind of relaxing.
Have you ever done the rainforest room and stuff before?
Yeah, it's actually pretty cool. It's a lot of fun, actually. Yeah.
It sounds awesome, man. We didn't do the only time we've ever done like a spa day was on our honeymoon in South Africa, and it's just awesome. It's really nice. It's relaxing, and it's good times.
Yeah, it's something that you don't do often, and when we kind of have to, we feel almost obligated to pamper ourselves on a cruise.
Yeah, you should.
So yeah,
so yours is 5 days, right? You're going 6 days, 5 nights.
6 days, 5 nights. Yep.
That's cool. That's a really good. That's a good sized trip. And I think that one of the questions I always have when I'm thinking about a Disney cruise is because when they show you the Disney cruise, you're doing these things. You've got all the characters around you. Are there characters that are on the ship there with you?
Yes, there are a lot of different meet and greet opportunities if you're into meeting characters, and especially if you do one of those, either the Marvel Day at Sea or the Star Wars Day at Sea. There is even more stuff above and beyond. So there's, if you do one of those themed cruises with the Marvel or the Star Wars, you have additional characters that you can meet, as well as if you do one of the holiday cruises, either one of the Halloween cruises or one of the Christmas cruises. Above and beyond that, there's either a Christmas or a Halloween party as well.
Oh man, that's awesome. That is that's very. I mean, it really pays. Especially if you're going to do those, it pays to do these Disney cruises. Now, I'm assuming that's pretty. These are probably pretty expensive. These cruises, right?
I would say they are, comparing to other cruise lines, they are one of the more expensive ones. But just like Disney World being more expensive than a lot of their other competitors, there's a reason for it. You look at all the stuff that you're getting included, and the other thing that I usually go back to is 90% to 99% of the stuff that you're going to do on this cruise, unless you go out of your way to do things like I've mentioned, everything else is included. A lot of other cruise lines start as like a baseline where it will be cheaper, like the fare itself is cheaper, but then when you start factoring in drink packages, where even if you want to do soft drinks, just soda and stuff and coffee right off the bat, that's going to be a little bit more. If you want extra food, that might be a little bit more. So depending on that kind of stuff, or kids activities, maybe depends, some of those other cruise lines, we haven't done a whole lot of research, but the little stuff that I've done is, it'll start getting to that point where the difference might be negligible enough where I would just go with a Disney cruise. And I've talked to other people that have done Disney cruises versus other cruises, and they always go back to Disney, just because there's just that Disney difference that it takes things above and beyond between the service and the entertainment values and all of that stuff. You can't beat a Disney cruise.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen a couple different vlogs on Disney cruises, and it looks awesome. It really does. Like one of the vlogs I looked at, I wish I remember the name, someone that we follow. But it's they did a Disney cruise, and at one point they came back to their room. I guess they got there, they kind of just threw everything out, and they came and helped them out with their room, and they actually they had a bunch of wiring and stuff. So they ended up, the folks that were helping them out to clean their rooms like took their phone wires, rolled them up really nicely, put a little like thing around it to make sure that everything was nice and orderly. And it was just, it was really nice to see. And that's, as you said, that is that Disney difference, you know?
Oh yeah, and we actually on our Alaska cruise, there was something that happened with the shower. I don't even it may have even been like the hot water was just it like the hot water wasn't on in the shower or something like that.
Sure.
And it took them like 10 minutes to come and fix it. And to make it up for us, they actually sent us a little like date night package that had extra like popcorn and a couple of other things, like the Mickey crispy Rice Krispie treat.
Yeah.
And it was just a little like, we're sorry that this happened. Here, have a date night on us type deal.
That is really nice. Yeah, that's cool. So I guess kind of as we're wrapping up here, which one of the cruises that you've been on thus far would you have said has been your favorite one?
Definitely Alaska, just because it's a more exotic location for us, and the ports and the sights and just everything about that cruise was absolutely stunning and amazing. It had breathtaking views. It had really great, one of a kind, unique places. You can go and snorkel probably in like anywhere. You can go on a jet ski almost anywhere that there's water, but there's only a few places that you're going to be able to find glaciers like that and rainforests like that and just the natural landscape. And it is one of the most beautiful places that I've ever been to.
Yeah, it sounds awesome, man. Yeah, was that the one I remember you had stopped in Vancouver?
Yeah. So yeah, sails out of Vancouver, and which also Vancouver was a lot of fun too, where we went a couple of nights beforehand. And Vancouver is a really awesome town to just go and walk around and hang out. And we did bike riding and a couple of other things, and it was really fun.
That sounds really cool. That's awesome. Well, I mean, we hope that, as we get a little closer here to your trip, we'll be able to discuss things more about the trip, and obviously we'll definitely recap. I feel like it was just last year when on your birthday I came down there and we explored some Disney down there for your birthday then. So it's good to
true. Yeah, and that was a lot of fun too.
Absolutely. So anything you want to say here before we go ahead and get on out of here?
No, I'm just talking about it has got me much more excited.
Well, it's got me excited too. I'm like, damn, I really want to do a cruise. It's always something where like my wife, I think, has been a little hesitant just simply because of some of the things that you said. I mean, the idea that, some of the things I said was, we're going to be on a boat for that long. Will we get seasick? But it seems like it's such a big ship that it would seem like you're not even really knowing that you're moving.
Yeah, it's such a big ship, and there's all this modern technology and stabilizers and all that stuff, all the fancy technology and stuff that they go into these cruise ships, where you barely feel it. If you don't get motion sick in a car ever, if you don't get motion sick on an airplane ever, anything like that, you would be 100% fine. Otherwise there are a lot of natural remedies. There's like the wristbands, there's like the ear patches on the ear stuff that people take. And honestly, you might take the first couple of hours on the ship to get your sea legs, but after that, you're fine. And that was one of my big concerns too, was, oh God, what if I get on the board on the ship and I'm miserable?
Right.
And I'm on here for 7 nights. That was our first cruise, and I didn't feel it at all. And that's why, a shorter cruise, even a 3 or a 4 night, even just as your first one to get a little bit of a taste of it, I would recommend that. But, or a 5 night cruise even, it's not too short, not too long. That's why the most popular is a 7 night. It's a week-long cruise,
right?
Because it's just right. Any more than that, and you're definitely not going to want to go back home. And like a 3 night one, it's just a little bit too short. So I would say for your first cruise, definitely try maybe for a 4 or a 5 night. And I'm not gonna lie, there are still rooms available on our cruise.
Oh, are there? Look at that, and that's coming up pretty quick.
It is, yeah.
Yeah, it sounds very, very cool. So yeah, no, definitely something that is on that sort of that Disney bucket list there of things to do, and sounds like it would really be a great time.
Absolutely.
Well, thanks so much, guys, for checking us out here on Disney 101. It's great to be back here. I'm glad that we were able to kind of fix some of the technical difficulties. We hope that there won't be any technical difficulties in the future, but we've been having a lot of them. If anyone has any sort of advice that for folks who use Google Hangouts, leave it in the comment section below on how to make sure you could actually hear each other on Google Hangouts, specifically from the person who is running the controls. So, but anything that you want to say here before we get out of here today, Steve?
No, as always, just we'll see you real soon. Everybody have a magical week.
Thank you so much, guys. Take care and happy Memorial Day weekend.